It's almost like the Dolphins took a long look at the mirror this offseason and whispered, "Enough." Not in a desperate, lost kind of way. No, more like a fed-up, bold kind of way. 12 new faces already, each one carefully, or maybe chaotically, thrown into the mix like ingredients in a recipe no one's sure about, but hey, it smells strong. The quarterback room got a splash of wild energy, with Zach Wilson walking in, uninvited to nobody. Remember him? Yeah, that Zach Wilson, who was once the golden boy of New York and somehow stumbled into chaos with the Jets and bounced around to Denver. Now he's here, behind Tua, trying to piece together whatever's left of his NFL reputation. There's this buzz, not loud, but present, that maybe, just maybe, Wilson has something left, something the Jets never figured out. And if Miami lets him breathe, lets him exist without suffocating expectations, who knows? But don't get too comfortable, because Huntley's name is still floating around like a shadow that won't leave the room. Nobody said it out loud, but it feels like that last QB spot is being held open for someone, and it wouldn't be shocking at all if it ends up being Huntley again. Then there's the backfield. The moment Mostert walked out, it was like watching a door shut quietly after a long party. Not with a bang, but still it mattered. His 2024 wasn't anything close to what he gave the season before, and with all that cap space, suddenly breathing easier after his release. It wasn't a heartbreak, it was expected. Enter Alexander Mattison. Now, don't overthink that one. He's not here to be flashy. His style echoes something familiar, Wilson even. Tough, straight line, purposeful. But if they park him on the sidelines like they did with Jeff Wilson Jr. last year, then what's the point? The real wild card here is Jalen Wright. Quiet, unassuming. But there's this pressure around him now, like everyone's waiting for him to explode in year 2. The weight isn't on Mattison. It's Wright who's supposed to tilt the field now. Receiver room? That one's a little spicy. Westbrook-Akine walked in, and honestly, it was like the room finally had a different scent. Bigger frame. Doesn't dance. Doesn't pretend. Just blocks. Catches in tight windows. Works the red zone. Stuff this team has needed, and now they finally have it. Tyreek and Waddle are still the show, of course. That part hasn't changed. But no, Hill's not going anywhere, despite every offseason whisper trying to manifest a trade. That's fantasy talk. What's interesting is Malik Washington. He's been floating just under the radar, not quite loud enough to demand attention, but present enough that he might be this team's early season surprise. Don't sleep on him. The WR depth still looks like a puzzle with missing edges, but weirdly, it doesn't feel urgent. Maybe they know something, or maybe they're just betting big on what they've got. Tight ends. Oof. That room got thinner fast. Smythe gone. Stoll too. Feels like a ghost town compared to last season. But Pharaoh Brown came in from Seattle, and there's something gritty about him. He doesn't do it for the highlights. He does it to move chains and wreck defenders on run plays. That alone might offset what they lost in numbers. It's not sexy, but it's essential. If he's the guy who shows up in short yardage downs, the ones that have haunted this offense, then we're talking value that doesn't show up in fantasy points. Don't expect him to light up the stat sheet, but expect him to be on the field when the Dolphins need one miserable yard and everyone in the stadium knows it. Now the offensive line. Let's just say Greer wasn't bluffing. Right after 2024 wrapped up, he stood there and said they were going to fix this. And it looks like he meant it. James Daniels was the opening move. Strong, reliable, no nonsense. That's the kind of signing that says, we're done playing games. Borum followed, and okay, maybe not as flashy, but there's value in versatility. You want guys who can slide left or right when the injury bug starts biting. And bringing Eichenberg back? That one raised a few eyebrows, sure, but maybe it's about depth more than faith. Still, there's one big question mark, the other guard spot. You can feel it, it's unresolved. And what about left tackle? That's the elephant in the room. Terran Armstead might come back, might not. If he says yes, you roll the dice one more time with a guy whose body doesn't always want to cooperate. If he says no, then it's time for Patrick Paul, that second rounder from 24, to get thrown into the fire. There's no middle ground there. It's risk no matter what. And that's just offense. All this before the draft even kicks off. April 24th is circling the calendar like a hawk. and you just know there's more coming. Probably in the trenches. Probably another back. Maybe another flyer at wideout. Who knows? But the energy feels different. This isn't patchwork. This isn't desperation. It's calculated chaos. It's a team that's tired of almost. Tired of being one injury, one bad snap, one missed block away from the next, maybe next year. Everything they've done so far, it's not screaming. It's whispering with intensity. It's building something. Something tougher. Something with teeth. And that edge, it's been missing for a while. Let's see what they do next.